normally uses different things. So it's Akiko who's with me. She's front feet today.
Yay!
Nami is here. I just don't know where she's run off to.
For some reason, the face looked younger to me, so I thought that was Nami.
Akiko acts the youngest and thinks she's the youngest. As you can see, she's a dickhead. But hello, baby. Go on. She's the best. But...
All right.
Yes, there's my dad's guitars. So there's this is his room. He's here at home today. So I've been ousted out of the conservatory where I normally I did it last year. Let me just shuffle around. I've covered the guitars up only because I thought I could put some cool Kaiken stuff up. But
all right, before
there are more guitars.
Further, I'm going to drop the next giveaway code in the chat.
I should write that down because I will not notice. Ah, there we go.
It's in there.
Yes, the artwork behind me is Kaiken. I got it off Redbubble for our breed club, thing last year. Yeah, it's very cool. The little one is from Japan. It's from Yamanashi, so it's a actual Kaiken Aigo Kai thing, I think. So let me figure out how to share my screen because my dad has 3 of them and I don't really know what I'm doing. Oh, what am I doing? Can I make this bigger? Ah, there we go. That looks like it's working. Can you guys see that? Can you see a screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Where I've stolen the icon like I did last year, made everything pretty colours. So most of what I said is a lot of it. I'll cover what I covered last year with a few things, and I'm going to try and focus a little bit more on the. I'll be focusing on the medium Nihon can because there's not much point in me talking about Shiba because everyone knows about Shiba now, and I think Rio is involved, but Wolf anyway is doing the Akita panel if they're around. I haven't seen them yet, so hopefully they're around. So I thought there's no point me talking about those guys, so I'll just focus on the 4 mediums, and I'm gonna specifically talk about Kaiken because they're my breed. Talk a little bit about what I've been doing this year because I've had a very busy year, kind of privately. So you guys are kind of getting a little bit of an insight into some stuff I've been working on before anyone else is. So do with that what you will. Just don't go run into the kennel club. And talk a bit about the issues that we're facing, particularly in the UK, but it will be affecting internationally, and what you guys can do to get involved, even if you're not Kaiken and Nihon Ken owners, and what you guys can do to potentially support us. So we'll look at the breeds, we'll look at their importance in Ginga, and then we'll have a good chat about that. In particular, we'll chat about that because I just think it's interesting. There's a slide that's got some photos of the breeds hunting. So if you don't like stuff like that, I'll give you a warning when those photos come up. They're not particularly gory. Most of them are old photos, and the few that are modern photos are. You can see there's dead boar in it, but they're not particularly gory. So, but I will warn you just in case you don't want to look at it. But let's get started if this wants to work. So I'm Aster. You'll have seen me around in the Discord. Most of you know me for years. Last year I had a nice photo of me with my dogs, but I'm significantly bolder and fatter since then, so you just get the dogs. The top one is Akiko. She is the love of my life. I think a lot of you will have remembered her from ever since she was a tiny baby. On the... I don't know my left from right. I love being dyslexic. Well, there's Shoki and Nami. Shoki lives with my grandmother. He's the male. I imported him a couple of years ago, and Nami is Akiko's daughter, who might pop up at some point. But you saw Akiko a few minutes ago. She's the oldest, and she's the baby. And the one on the left, yeah, is Floki, and that is Akiko's son from my first litter. I co-own him, so I went down to see him last year, got some nice photos, so I thought I'd show him as well. So you can see he's doing well. Ginga is the reason I found the Japanese breeds. like most of us. And I've been a Ginga fan since 2007. When I first got my Kaikan, I was involved in the creation of the Association of Nihon Ken, which was the UK's first breed club for them. And then I formed the Kaikan Club of Great Britain, which we'll talk a little bit more about later on. And I had the first UK litter, which most of you guys know this anyway, but I know there's a few new people. So, and I have my 3 Kaikan that live with me. Well, no, 2 live with me. One lives with my grandmother, but I see him most days. He's been here today. So, yeah, those are my guys. They're all Kuratora. They're all black brindles. So maybe one day we'll get a nice Akatora in here. But there we go. Pardon me. Ginga fans in the UK. Yeah, you have to come and meet my dog sometime. 6 Nihon Ken, Japanese breeds. Nihon Ken literally means Japanese dog, but we use it specifically to refer to the Aboriginal breeds, which is the 6 Aboriginal breeds. Primitive or Aboriginal, but Aboriginal is more accurate because primitive would imply there's no English. No, not English. What am I talking about? No human intervention. So Aboriginal, they're mostly what they were originally derived into. They've remained that way. And we see some changes. You'll see there's some ancient photos, but older photos on this slide as well. Last year I did include the Akita and the Shiba, but as I said, I'm not going to talk about them this year. So on this, we've got Shikoku, we've got Akita, Kishu, Kaikan, Shiba, and Hokkaido. These are all photos I took when I went to Norway a couple of years ago. So they're all dogs I've met in person and got to cuddle. It's great. So unfortunately, I believe the Shikoku and the Kaikan are both no longer with us in these photos. I know for a fact the Kaikan is. I believe the Shikoku isn't. But they were lovely dogs, so it's really nice to be able to show them here and let people see them. But yeah. Nihon Ken. Let's go back to the photo while I ramble a little bit. They're originally a land race, which is why we said Nihon Ken, and then they were split into their own breeds based on their location, their size, the Akita obviously being large, the Shiba being small, and then the 4 medium breeds were based more on where they were like their origins. So Kishu were in Kishu, Shikoku, Kaiwa in Yamanashi, and Hokkaido in Hokkaido, obviously. Nihon Ken Hozonkai is their kind of founding breed registry that looks after all 6 breeds, but they did not split off, but have their own ones as well. Kaiken has the Kaiken Aigo Kai, which I will mention a few times. Unfortunately, they're very difficult to get hold of, and I've been trying to speak with them, and they are hard to speak to. Hokkaido Ken has 2, Dokenho and another one. Can't remember. And Akita have Akiho, which again I'm sure Wolf will talk about. Breeds are living natural monuments. A lot of people like to call them national treasures, but that's a mistranslation. It's living natural monuments. It's a term to describe something that's been designated as a significant cultural property of Japan. So it's protective of them, basically. So yeah, just means that they're very important. So when we, as breeders and owners of them, we should always respect the country of origin because it's their protected property at the end of the day. The dog might belong to us, but the breed belongs to Japan. It's kind of the way that we tend to think about it. Nihon Ken have these very important traits that you should see in them, and I think that these essential traits are very well represented in Ginga. So I'm going to kind of talk about that, where like how their importance has been portrayed well in Ginga, because I think that it's something that we don't really appreciate. So Kani is daring. It's a daring and brave dog who has a significant and dignified boldness. They're well-balanced temperament with confidence, but they shouldn't be aggressive. I think a good example of all of these traits would be Riki. So kind of think of him when I'm talking about this, because he's a very good example of those, I think. Ryosei is a good nature, a loyal and faithful dog that's gentle with their people. They should bond fiercely to their people, and they're loyally devoted. I tried to kind of think of Gin and his owner, Daisuke. unfortunately, he obviously does kind of ditch his owner, but that beginning long loyalty, and he still sees it. So I think not been completely up to date on Ginga for a while, so I just buy the merch. And then Soboku means simplistic, dog with a natural beauty. They're not overly flashy. They've not been overdone. They're very rustic and sincere. You see that with all of the breeds. Yasemi is wildness, so they should have, I believe, my friend CJ refers to Kishu as having wonderful wildness, and I love that term, because they are an Aboriginal breed. They're still very natural. They should have that wildness, but not in a dangerous way, and obviously Ginga shows that by them running to the wild. And then in the show ring, there are two terms that are used, which is ikaku and igen. Ikaku, they both kind of mean to intimidate. Igen specifically, I think the actual translation of the word is dignity, but we use them both to mean to intimidate. So ikaku is a dog that uses aggressive posturing and it appears threatening. It's not necessarily aggressive, it's just it postures itself that way and appears aggressive. He's not a Nihon Ken, but I'm kind of thinking Sniper versus Riki here, because Igen is an intimidation through the aura of strength. You look at a dog who just has this aura about him and shows how strong they are, which Riki does for me. So I realize I'm rambling a lot of words at you, but I hope they're interesting and you can learn a little bit more about why. I mean, a lot of people say Ginga doesn't represent the breeds well, but I think it does, and I think that these words show why they do. So figured I'd teach you a little bit about them. As I said, a lot of this I did show last year, but I know there's quite a few new people, so figured I'd go back over it. So quick look at the breeds. I'm going to just show the four. I moved things. These are the same slides as last year because I think that they're nicely put together and I've already got it all, so why redo it, right? Modern Shikoku and an older Shikoku, as you can see, the breed is very unchanged. Shikoku is a medium-sized dog, but they're a larger size, and they're from the Kochi prefecture in Shikoku. They were mainly a large game hunting dog, so they would hunt boar. Small handful of people still using them in Japan. Shigeru, who will pop up later on, he did hunt with them. There were two Shikoku that he hunted with, who there is a picture with them in my pictures. But I don't know of many hunters in Japan still using them, but I do believe they've got quite, not popular, but they've got people in Norway using them for hunting now, which is really cool. I think it's nice to hear that the breed is getting that use worldwide, because hunting with dogs is not really that popular anymore. So they've experienced a massive decline in Japan, but they're very popular abroad. Not very popular, like obviously not Shiba levels, but there's a lot of good breeders out there in America. There's a lot of good breeders in Europe. There's no good breeders in the UK. We've had 2 whoops litters. So yeah, there's a lot of Shikoku over here. There's at least 30 in the UK and nobody doing anything very good with them. It's a real shame. The one guy who did have the whoops litter, he does hunt with his dog, so I'll give him credit for that, but we shouldn't be proud of him because he didn't do it right. So mostly show dogs now. You'll see that they're very refined for the show ring, very much like the Akita and the Shiba. They've lost a little bit of that rusticness. You'll see a lot of the European dogs are very rounded and soft, I guess would be a good way to describe them. There's a very specific line I'm thinking of, but I don't want to name any names. Very cool dogs. The handful I've met, I've really liked. Not for me personally, but I really like them. I think they're cool. And obviously they had some cool representation in the anime of Jerome's little gang. It's a real shame that they didn't see more of it. In the comments, I see Slim Cut. Yeah, I mean, you could use that. This dog is a younger dog as well, so I'm trying to only use photos that I own, except for on the hunting slides, because I don't own any of the photos on there. So the images of the Shikoku are specifically the ones I've met. So it is a younger dog, so less filled out. But yeah, I would say that they've kind of lost a bit of their substance. That's just my personal opinion, and I think it is the same with all of the breeds personally. But yeah, you'll make your own decisions about how the breeds have changed as well. But obviously, moving on to the Hokkaido Ken. This is the Nihon Ken I've probably met the most of, maybe more than Shiba, maybe more than Kaiken, because a friend of mine breeds them, and they're a great breed. Really cool little dogs. Again, not for me personally, but I've loved every single one I've met, especially this guy in color. His name is Chuya, and he is awesome. So he's a lovely dog. I travelled all across Norway with him, and I loved him very dearly. I'm just rambling now. Hokkaido Ken are also a medium-sized dog. They're on the smaller side of medium than the Shikoku and the Kishu. Also known as the Ainu Ken, named after the indigenous people of Japan. They're obviously from Hokkaido. They were originally bear dogs, so they're very kind of thick-coated due to the weather conditions, but also their own protection, really, because bear and deer, but they're not typically hunting dogs now. Hokkaido are critically endangered, to put it sadly. Unfortunately, they are in really, really bad state, and they do face extinction. I'll discuss this a bit more in a couple slides later on. But yeah, they're very, very endangered. They're a breed that really needs help, and unfortunately, the Western world, America in particular, hasn't done a very good job with them, in my opinion. But who's to say? Obviously, we had North, who was a Hokkaido Ken mix. I'm so sad he didn't get more time in the anime or manga, because I thought he was really cool. I think Hokkaido Ken are very unchanged from what they used to be. If you can look at modern dogs and you can look at historic dogs, and they look identical. I've taken photos of modern dogs and I've taken photos of historic dogs out of books, and I could have quite easily edited them to say they are the same dog because they're very unchanged. Unfortunately, that's probably a sign of their limited G pool as well, but there we go. Cracking dogs, love them very much. They have little tiny ears and it's funny. And their main registry is Dokenho. They have their own registry who are really cool. They're trying to work really hard with international people, and I've got a lot of respect for them, and I wish the Kaiken had the same. But I'll show you some stats around that after. Wow, my head looks really weird from the side. Kishuken, my second favourite of the Nihon Ken, and I adore them. They are also critically endangered, and it breaks my heart because they are such a diamond of a breed that deserve so much more than they get internationally. Every single Kishu I've met has been just the most wonderful dog. Yes, Kyoshiro is Kishu-ken. They have been just the most wonderful dogs. I don't know how many people will remember, but at one point I had to go and rescue one from a friend who was in a really bad situation. Luckily, all is well now, and she does have her dog back. And I believe they're actually at a Nihon Ken seminar today. So it's kind of funny we're both doing one. But and that dog, I put her in my car and I drove her 9 miles. I drove her it was a total of 9 hours she'd driven that day. I drove her for 4 of them. And she took it all in her stride despite how stressed she was. They are the most wonderful breed, and I hope that more people will get one down the line because people are breeding them and struggling to place them, and it's so sad because we need more breeders of them. They're a large game hound, usually for boar, sometimes deer. They are one of the only Nihon Ken that are still used for hunting, and they really do retain that hunting instinct, but that doesn't mean that they're a bad pet. They are wonderful pets, and I just want them to do better. I don't want to talk about their history or anything because they're not my breed to talk about, really. But they have strong association with the Japanese wolves in legend. They're very, very bonded to their people, and yes, Akame is a Kishu. There's a lot of Kishu in Gengar. It's a real shame that they didn't get more popularity through Gengar, but I guess generic white dog, maybe people don't see how beautiful they are. They're also a lot smaller than people think, which is pretty cool. But they're wonderful. I could talk about Kishu all day. But what I could really talk about all day is Kaiken. This is my bread and butter, my everything, and I could talk all night about them. I was here thinking, am I going to be able to talk long enough today? But yeah, I guess I can because I can't shut up about dogs. That is my boy, Shoki. He's crazy. Just the sweetest dog on the planet, and I love him dearly. Obviously, you've got the Kai Bros, Kaiken, and the dog on the right is Kaikuro Go. He was a very well awarded winner in Japan. He's designated as being one of the breed founders, even though he existed way. Yes, this is the photo that Sonny drew reference on, and I still have it on my phone actually, which I'll pull up while I'm rambling. Yeah, so he was a very well-known dog. He's actually he's in Japan in the museum of one of the museums in Ueno. There was the camera. I love this drawing so much. Anyway, yeah, so you can actually go and see Kaikuro Go. I spent an hour with him when I went to Japan. I just couldn't get away from him because I love him so much. He's a very cool dog. And he's behind most of our modern dogs. So if you have a modern day Kaiken, chances are Kaikuro Go will be behind them somewhere. Very cool dog. I've literally not even really started talking about Kaiken, and I'm just already rambling. Medium-sized dog. You've seen my dog because you can see you saw Akiko on my knee. You can see that she's small and easy to lift and stuff. Smaller size than Kishu and Shikoku, but roughly the same. They're from Yamanashi, originally called Kaino Kuni, I think it was originally called, but they still call them Kaiken. They're from a village called Ashiyasu, and their remote location in Ashiyasu kept them safe during the war. Otherwise, they would have probably gone extinct. They were really lucky that it was so remote and hard to get to. There's two types, boar and deer type. Shoki, who is my boy, he is a deer type, so he's long and lean and stringy. Kaikuro Go, who is in the older photo, he was the breed founder of the boar type because the original boar type went extinct. So he was like the remake of the boar type. I did go. If people want to see more about this, it's all on the Kaiken Club of Great Britain website. I wrote it all myself, so you can read it on there because I don't want to ramble all night. Kaiken were originally bred to hunt the Japanese Sero, Kamoshika, but that also became a national monument. God, I nearly called it national treasure then. My own pet peeve there. So when that became a natural monument, they couldn't hunt it anymore. So mostly deer and boar, sometimes bear and pheasant as well. Pheasants are a relatively popular quarry of them. Mostly a pet these days. They maintain a level of popularity more than the other breeds in Japan. If you were walking the streets and you were going to run into a Japanese breed in Japan, other than the Shiba and the Akita, it would probably be a Kaiken because they are relatively more common. They have decent numbers compared to the rest. Again, I'll show you the numbers after. But when you compare to the other breeds, it's nowhere near, but definitely better. Some are still used for hunting, small handful. Shigeru, who I mentioned before with the Kishu and the Shikoku, there's some photos of his Kishu hunting after. He currently is training a Kaiken to hunt again. So I'm really excited to see how that goes because his dogs are very cool. I believe his Instagram is Kato the Walrus. So if you want to see hunting Kaiken, he's the one to follow because it'd be cool progress. They can and do swim because obviously there was the whole thing about Kaiken can't swim. They can and do. Only one of mine chooses to, but they can. Akiko loves to swim. And obviously their breed representation is the Kaiken, the Kai Bros. So I think the next slide is the hunting slide. So if anyone doesn't want to see dead boars, just turn away now. Yes, it is. The Nihon Ken are hunting dogs, and that's their history. That's why I wanted to show you these photos because it's what makes them up, and it's something that's very important in when you compare them in Ginga because that's what they're doing. They're going after bear. I don't think there's any bear photos here. In the top right corner, we have a group of very well-known lineage of Kaiken hunting a boar. Below them is another Kaiken she was actually a show dog hunting boar. which was very cool because you don't really see that. So a dog that's multi-talented. Below her is a Kaiken climbing a tree, just because I like that they can climb trees. Immediately next to that photo is a Shikoku Ken going after a boar. Middle top is a very famous Kaiken called Komaro. He was a big lineage of Kaiken. He was both a hunting and show dog. Many dogs of today have him in their lineage, and as you can see, that's a whole load of pheasants that he hunted. Below that is one of the Kato brothers. I think it's Aiki Kato with, I think those dogs are called Rin and Ran. They are Shikoku Ken, and they were hunting Shikoku in Japan. On the next kind of line at the top, you've got a Kaiken hunting Kamoshika. Immediately below that is a Hokkaido Ken hunting a small bear. And then all of the modern photos on the left side are photos belonging to Shigeru Kato of his dog Baron. And I think his daughter is... Oh no, I removed the one with the daughter. That's Baron. He was an incredible Kishuken, very esteemed hunting dog, and I believe some of his relatives are still in the US lines. So fantastic dog and really cool. And Shigeru is a lovely, lovely guy. He helped me a lot. So big credit to him because those photos belong to him. The photos of the Kaiken, they all belong, well, they were all given to me by a breeder called Akabe-san in Japan. And I stole the Hokkaido photo from the Hokkaido website. So they are mostly companion dogs now, but it's really important to look at the versatility of the breed, especially when we're thinking about how they can work in Ginga, because you can see these dogs and see how small they are and think there's no way these dogs could take on a bear or a boar or any of the things we see in Ginga. But they do. Hi, Nami. Come here. Sorry, the fat one's joined me. Come on. You're too fat for Grandpa. Oh dear. This is Nami. She's the fat one. She's very cute. She's very muddy. She's been in the field today. So, where are you going? That is my shoulder. So this is a good size reference of a Kaiken. They're quite small. And I can't put her down now, and their mum's going nuts at me. There we go. Oh dear. They love to cause chaos. She is Nami sized. I can't criticize her because I'm also fat, but you know, it shows what an idiot she is. She's a great dog though, and I did create her, so it's my own problem really. God, I've got half an hour left, so plenty of time, I think. Where am I at? Talk about hunting dogs. I haven't watched Ginga in a while, so you're gonna have to bear with me. But hunting dogs in Japan, they use baying and catching, same as hounds. They are hounds. We should get into using that word to describe them. The Nihon are hounds. They don't look like hounds, but they are. If you look at like Finnish Spits in the UK, they're classed as hounds. You've got Norwegian elk hound. They're Spitzes, but they're hound breeds. That's exactly the same with these guys. Hello, Nami. Sorry, she's being a pain. There's certain breeders in Shiba and Akita that don't like the word hound for them because they don't fit their ideal. But they are hounds. Let's be real. Look at them hunting. They are hounds. That's what they do. I'll mention my little secret project includes them trying to potentially get them into the hound group here in the UK. I don't know if it'll work, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm pointing at this because I've got it on the screen there, so that's why I'm doing whatever I'm doing. What have we got next? So this is the sad point. So last year I did a game around this point, and I haven't done it this time because I think it's more important to discuss the state that these breeds are in than having a little bit of fun. So unfortunately, I'm going to bring the mood down. Hi, Akiko. Some of these breeds are at what we could call the point of no return. Kishu-ken and Hokkaido-ken are critically endangered. You know, when we talk about animals being critically endangered, and we see it on the TV, and they talk about donating and trying to save these animals in captivity, well, that's where we're at with these breeds. It's exactly the same. Just because they're dog breeds doesn't mean that their endangerment is any less. That could be very silly. So we need to take a look at the numbers. Hokkaido Ken, my friend Lindsay, who runs the Hokkaido Ken Club in the UK, has put together this fantastic chart. I can think of the word there. Tell it's my day off. Showing Hokkaido Ken born inside and out of Hokkaido, specifically with the Hokkaido Ken Hozonkai, because their stats aren't included in the Nippo stats, which are on the other side. I probably should have labeled that. 121 Hokkaido Ken born last year. Last year. It's dropped again since 2024, and even more so from 2023. It went back up in 2023, which is good, but it did drop down again. And there is only so much you can do with limited bloodlines. Kishu-ken are even worse. So when we look at this, the second big table, bear in mind this is only Nippo, so the numbers of Kaiken and Hokkaido are a lot lower because it's not their primary club. So we'll just focus on Shikoku and Kishu here. Kishu 119. This breed could go extinct in the next 3 years. If more people aren't interested in it, if more people don't learn about it. So that's why I just want to make sure people are aware of these breeds and how we can try and help them, even if we're not owners and just people that care about them. Shikoku, again, their numbers are dropping. This is a breed that is popular in America, is gaining popularity, and yet in Japan, they cannot sustain a breeding population. Hokkaido Ken, barely any registered with Nippo, and same with Kaiken. Although this year, Kaiken did have a boost in Nippo. I believe there was 78 in Nippo, and I think that was because there's been a lot of drama with the Kaiken Aigokai, changing leadership and some issues. Friends of mine have had a lot of issues there, but I'm hoping things will work out in the end for the sake of the breed. So the bottom statistics, I do not have 2025 because, as I said earlier, I've been trying to get hold of the Kaiken Aigokai, but they are moving offices, so I can't get hold of them at the moment. So I'm missing 2025 statistics. But as you can see, Kaiken are holding steady. We're up from 10 years ago by 20 dogs. And yeah, it's steady. We're doing the best out of all of them. And you compare a number of nearly 800 dogs in a year to barely 100 of Kishu. That's frightening for the Kishu-ken. With, you know, I've got statistics for Kaiken all around the world. There were 22 born in... No, 28 born in France, I think, this year. Or 23? I don't know. Numbers. 23, I think. 23 born in France, 19 born in Finland. That's a lot when you compare it to how many Kishu are being born in Japan, where they should be prospering, prospering. What I'm talking about. They should be doing better, and it's a real shame. There's not a lot we can do without owning the breeds and breeding the breeds. But just talk about them. If someone says someone wants to talk about dogs with you, just say, have you heard about this breed? There's a small chance that they haven't. Might turn out that that's the exact breed they're looking for. It could be that they want a breed like that. Work in a library or anything like that, there's a small handful. Oh, there goes Kagetora. I had him with me, just, dropped it twice. There's a small handful of English language books that you can get about these breeds. So if you know anyone that works in a library, ask them if they can get these books in. I'm more than happy to tell you what the IBAN is for. I think they've all got IBAN. Yes, they have. More than happy to tell you what they are. I have quite literally hundreds of Japanese dog books. I have a full list of all the ones I own. Most of them are Japanese language, but there's some in English language. There's also fantastic book made by the Norwegian club for Shikoku Ken. So if you work anywhere that has books and you're interested in getting those books in, let me know and I can tell you the numbers for them, so you can look into ordering them. Because if people see them on a shelf, they're going to go, "That's interesting. Have a look at that." the kids that want to get into dogs, same as I would have been when I was a kid, I would go through the shelves and look at them and go, "Oh, that's a breed I've not heard of. Learn about it." So it's just a case of just teaching people, and that's something we can all do. It's what we can all do. We can talk about the things we love. We can talk about Ginga. We can say Ginga has these really cool dogs. You should watch it. So talk about your favorite anime. Talk about your favorite dogs. That's my takeaway from this, really. But yeah, as I said, critically endangered. It's not a good state to be in, but we've got to do what we can. I've talked a lot about Ginga and the Nihon Ken throughout this and where they're important, but I just want to show some cool dogs and stuff. Ginga is one of the only representations of the medium-sized Nihon Ken that there is. There's a few with Kaiken, like Hayabusa and Okami, but Ginga is the only one that has solidly represented them all and for such a long time, and that's really important. And I don't think that we as Ginga fans appreciate how important that is. The breeds have this representation and need this representation. I saw someone mention about making, was it a comic earlier? I'm just scrolling back up. Graphic novel, fantastic. If you are an artist and you want to draw, you like drawing dogs, draw them. If you've got any kind of following, if it's 10 people, if it's one person, that could be one more person that learns about the breed. So Takahashi-san has done a great deal for the breed. There's a lot of people in the Western world found these breeds because of this. So for me, that's how I found them. Yes, Ghost of Yote did have Kaiken, which is very cool. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else to say now about these breeds specifically. Yeah, Toro, as I did mention Okami, and hopefully maybe we'll see Hayabusa in Okami too. That's my hope. But yeah, it's just a case of helping people learn. I'm always happy to teach. You can contact me anytime about these dogs. They're my everything. So I've been working really hard on a small project, which is trying to get the breed recognised in the UK. I've written a 110-page proposal, and it's been my life for the past month or so. It's all I've done at work. When I've had a moment of free time, I've been working on this. It's my desperate hope that the breed will get recognised here, because I mentioned the point of no return, and we have a bigger issue in the UK. I don't know how many people in the UK are watching this, but we are currently at risk of some serious legislation going through. That's exactly what I'm about to talk about, Stefan. It's like you knew. So we've got two possible legislations. One is going through, and one they're trying to push through. The import law, known as the puppy smuggling bill. If I could have a moment in a room with Danny about this, I would love to give him a slap. But has been pushed through by vets who don't know what the hell they're talking about, because puppy smuggling, while it is an issue, is not the issue they think it is, because people who are smuggling puppies are hiding them in the boots of their car and driving through without declaring anything. People who are going through the proper import process with pet passports and stuff like that, they are not forging pet passports to bring them over younger. It's not happening. Those things are too expensive to do that. So anyone who's doing it properly is going to be affected by this, but the people who aren't doing it properly are not going to be affected by this, because they're going to continue breaking the law. It's nonsense. They care more about stopping breeding, and that's the grand scheme of this. Because the other bill that's trying to come into place is to do with something called the innate health assessment, which on paper sounds fantastic. It would mean that every breeder that has to breed has to put their dogs through this thing. It's a 10-stage assessment. It gives your dog a score out of 10. If it's anything less than 8, the dog shouldn't be bred. By law, at the moment, it's just a suggestion, but it will eventually become law. If it goes through, it'll become law that if the dog is bred less than 8, it means they won't be able to bred. This means, yeah, your French bulldogs and pugs will go away. yeah, people might not like them. I do, as everyone probably knows. I had a Frenchie who I adored. But even if you don't like those breeds, that's not the end of it, because corgis will go, short legs. Dachshunds. What about ancient breeds? Swedish Falhund. Those breeds have existed for years and years and years, and they will go extinct in the UK because they have short legs. It's not just about genetic things like that. They also want to ban Merle colouring. Now, you might not care about Merle breeds, but where does it stop? You ban a Merle dog, you get a brindle dog that looks a little bit too patchy. Would that dog be banned as well? Because the people putting this into law do not know or care about genetics. So if you get a brindle dog that might happen to be a little bit patchy and look more Merle, that dog could be considered illegal. For me, the Kaiken, I've done the innate health test on mine just to try and show some kind of support, I suppose. All of mine passed it 10 out of 10. That doesn't account for any of the health issues that the breed could have. Akiko has a condition called lumbosacral transitional vertebrae. Because she doesn't have a long spine, they don't care about that. All of my dogs are health tested. They all passed 10 out of 10 on that, but it doesn't actually account for anything. Also, yes, it doesn't affect my breed now, but it's just the beginning. Because the innate health assessment mentions curled tails, like tightly curled tails, like a pug or a Shar-Pei. But at what point does it become all curled tails? What point does it become that Kaiken and Akita, their tails are too curled? It's always going to just be one more step. And I know that the US have had the same issue with the import law, where they can only import at 6 months. And I don't know if Wolf will mention it with their panel, but they've just imported a dog at 6 months, and I know they've had issues. And I know every person I know that has tried to import dogs into the US at 6 months has had issues of some sort, be it with the flight because of the age of the dog and the size of the dog, or with temperament because of missing those fear periods. Because fear periods are very, very important in Nihon Can, because they're an Aboriginal breed. They need to learn, and the world is scary, They tend to have 2 or 3 fear periods before they're fully done growing, and trying to import a dog in the middle of that is going to be a nightmare. So if that goes through here, Kaiken will go extinct here. We've got 9 dogs in the UK. We have 4 Kishu, I think, 15 Hokkaido Can, and maybe 30-ish Shikoku. We can't manage a gene pool on that many dogs. So my last month, as I said, has been preparing a 110-page document on why they should let the breed be recognised here. On the off chance that when all these laws go into place, they put something in place for Kennel Club recognised breeds, because that's what the Kennel Club cares about, is their breeds, the breeds that they already recognise. I've spoken briefly to one of the yes, hello, Akiko, to one of the people that coordinates the import register, and he mentioned that he'd get back to me after their talks, because at the time the law hadn't officially gone through, but now it has. So we're just waiting for a date of when it goes into, when it goes into actual place. It's quite hard to tell regular pet people why this is so important, and it's hard to tell people that own non-rare breeds why it's important, because people who own Labradors or German Shepherds are going to go, well, we've already got all the bloodlines. We don't need to import more. Why do we need to import more? But I'm sat here with one of 9 Kaikan in the UK, and the other one's somewhere dicking around. We can't maintain a gene pool on that, especially when one of those 9 is neutered. One of them is, her last chance for breeding is if she comes into season now, and she's taking her damn time. Let me put it that way. And most of the others are pets. So outside of me and my co-owner down in South Wales, we've got nothing. So, and we're limited on gene pool. I've got the gene pool here in my hands. So without importing, we can't do anything with that. And if they take away the ability to breed certain breeds, it's only a matter of time before they come for everything. So even if you're not a rare breed owner, if someone, especially if you're in the UK in particular, but obviously anyone, if you see someone posting about this innate health thing and they need signatures or anything, just take 5 minutes and sign it, because it'll help us. It'll help all the breeds. And it'll help you, because if you love dogs, which you obviously do, because you wouldn't have listened to me talk for an hour if you didn't, you want to keep dogs alive. You want to keep dogs existing. And we can't just let them go. So yeah, that was a question that I answered, but let's have a chat. Let's talk about dogs. We've got another 15 minutes, so if you've got any specific questions, or you want to just chat about these dogs with me, let's have it. The dog on the picture, just want to mention him very quickly because he's an amazing dog. His name was Kai Kokushin. He is my dog's great grandfather, and he is everything that I think a Kai Ken should be. I think he's wonderful, and I think he lived to be 16, something like that. And unfortunately, he's a popular stud, so it means he's behind nearly every modern Kai Ken, but he's wonderful, and I just want everyone to look at him and appreciate him. Quick thing just to say, that photo belonged to my friend Kinoshita-san, who bred Shoki, and the photos of the hunting dogs all belong to Shigeru Kato, who owns the Nihon Ken blog. So if you want to see more photos, go to those guys. But yes, if anyone wants to unmute and ask questions, please do, because I've talked for a while and I want you all to love these dogs as much as I do. So, or ask any questions or whatever. I don't know. I'm not very good at this. Show us more, Akiko. Akiko! Oh, hello. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, yeah. You're going to pull the headphones out again. Oh, dear. Okay. Oh.
She's just so beautiful.
Yeah, baby. Oh, yeah. Just stick your whole tongue in my mouth. That's fine. Let me just push my headphones back in my foot. Akiko is 7 now. Sorry, she'll be 8 in June. So it's kind of her. We're waiting for her to come into season on the chance that we might have another litter. So, love that Lane is mentioned. She's one of my best friends. She's wonderful. I've not just had a litter. I'm hoping to have one ASAP. I literally just waiting for her to come into season. Lane is a very, very good friend of mine, and she's been so supportive with the dog stuff. So I'm hoping one day she can have one. Yes, hello, Kiko. But you're there. Sit there. So yeah, hopefully a litter coming up. When they reach 4 weeks old, Arano will tell you, because she came to visit last time. I'm happy for people in the UK to come and meet them, because I'm always happy for people to come and meet my dogs. That's one thing I've always, full disclosure, just come and meet them, come and see how they are in person, because people like to talk a lot of shit about the breeds and their temperaments, and as you can see, they are wonderful. So people are always welcome to meet my dogs. They're well travelled. They're more than happy to come down and meet people. And when I have pups, socializing is really important. So I am more than happy for people to come and meet them as well. So yeah, so if I have puppies, you're welcome to come and see them. If Akiko doesn't come into season, I'll probably breed Nami instead, but we'll see. Nami's really kind of come into herself, so she's a good dog. But thank you guys. I really appreciate the support, because it's been a lot. Whether or not they will get recognised this time around, not in you. Whether or not they'll get recognised this time around, it'll be 5 years before we can try again. But it's worth a try. We've got as much information as we'll ever have, so we're going to give it a go. But yeah, you could go. Yeah, you could go. Just silly. They like to give kisses. This is This is every day for me. You want to look at the camera, Akiko, because like people want to see you. They want to see you, not you licking my face. Say hi. Say hi. Kai kisses, yes. This is every day. People say they don't like to cuddle. It's not true. They are very, very cuddly dogs. Let me see if I twist it. You can see it. Your baby. Yeah, good girl. I just have 10 minutes of Akiko washing my face. This is what everyone wants to see. Oh dear. But yeah, if anyone, yeah, it is Akiko ASMR. If anyone has questions, or you can either ask them now or message me anytime, and I will always talk about these dogs because they are just my life. Honestly, I'm impressed. I managed to. You know what? You're gonna have to go down. I managed to talk for all that time. Move your butt. Because I wasn't very well this morning, so I was a bit worried that I wouldn't be able to ramble as long as I did. So there we go. And obviously, my presentation was a little bit shorter than last year because I didn't have the game and stuff. But it was quite hard for me to put together something fun in that sense when we're in so much danger of extinction, and I think it was more important to talk about that. I am really lucky to have met them. I'll just go back to some of the dogs that I've met. I'm really lucky to have met them, and I can only thank Ginga for that because I never would have met them without that. So, they're such cool dogs, and I'll do whatever I can for them, really. When did you first start your efforts to preserve the cocoa? Yeah, I mentioned it very briefly, but I actually didn't talk about it as much as I did last year. So, I first found the breed in 2007 from a magazine, which last year I'm sure I had it on me, but I didn't bring it out this time because I wasn't very well prepared. From the dog magazine that was in the UK, and it talked about Ginga and Ginga board and stuff like that. So I joined Ginga board and stuff like that. Yes, the Akita one. And I fell in love with all the breeds, mostly Kishu at the time. But then I sort of started seeing Kaiken more. And I remember when I was about 13, I was Googling Kaiken in the UK, and there was nothing. There was like puppy broker websites that were like, we can get you a Kaiken in the UK. Obviously, they couldn't. And so the magazine was the dog magazine from Artlist Collection, I think they're called, with the big headed dogs that look cute and stuff. I will send you my scans of it if you want, because I've got it scanned. So you're welcome to have a look. I can put the scans somewhere. I know we don't talk about scans and Gingo, but I do have it scanned, so you can see it. Yeah, so I found it from that when I was about 11-ish, and then fast forward to 2017-ish, really got into the breeds, really got into Kaiken. Around that time, I met Wolf and Rio. Very exciting because they're still my friends now, and I love them dearly. Who owned Akiko's aunt Noodle, who sadly passed away last year, but Noodle was one of my kind of introductions to the breed, and I'm very lucky that Akiko's related to her. And I got on some wait lists, and I was meant to go to Belgium to meet the breed, and unfortunately, with my dad being in his band, he double booked. So we couldn't go, but he said that when a puppy was available, I could have one. It's his house. I live with my parents, unfortunately. So we waited, and my dear friend Lindsay, different Lindsay who I mentioned with the Hokkaido, who lives in Belgium. Belgium mentioned. Akiko's from Belgium. Akiko is Belgian. She messaged and said that she was having a litter and they were due around my birthday. So I asked to be on her wait list, and my parents went, "Oh shit, this is a bit sooner than we thought." But we thought we were going to have a 2-year waiting list, but no, Lindsay had spots, and 3 wonderful puppies were born on my birthday, which was amazing. What are the chances? So Akiko was born on my birthday. We share a birthday every year, and it is wonderful. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be here with her this year for my birthday because I'm going away, but she will be very loved by my parents, and she'll have a party either before or after. The Japan special in Norway, I'm not going to try and say it in Norwegian, is fantastic. If anyone lives in Norway or nearby enough that you can get that, I highly recommend going. All of the photos that are on screen at the moment were taken there. Wonderful dog. I met Tora there. Tora is wonderful. It was very, very nice to meet in person. Definitely recommend going there if you want to meet the breeds. Or Finland. Finland has so many Kaiken compared to everywhere else. So Finland's in a really good place with them. But yeah, so I had Akiko. Akiko was born. Went to Belgium, picked her up. And I always hoped that I would be able to breed her. So I went through all the health testing and all the heartache of dealing with that and the expenses. And then in 2022, I drove to France. I bred her with a stud dog in France. I'm very good friends with the owner of this dog. And she had 2 puppies, one of them being Nami, the little fat one who you've seen, and the other one being Floki, who's on his own in the photo, who lives down in South Wales with another hopeful breeder. And I've not done much since then. I imported Choki in 2023 as a potential stud dog. He lives with my grandmother. He finished his health testing last year, and now we're just waiting on hopefully doing the second litter. So that's kind of how I got involved with the breed. I've kind of done a lot of things solo because, admittedly, when I got into the breed, I went in with a lot of strong opinions of what I've been taught by UK people of what's the right thing to do with breeding. In a rare breed, I should have mentioned this earlier when I had more time because we're getting close to the end. In a rare breed, there's a lot more nuances with breeding. You can't make every decision based on what you would with a normal, more popular breed. So if you see people breeding with slightly worse health than you'd expect, that doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad breeder. It took me a long time to realize that, but it's something good to take away because in this breed and in these breeds that are endangered, we don't have much choice. So we've got to do what we can. And a good breeder will give you a health guarantee that if that dog has any issues, they'll help. My guy, Akiko, as I said, Akiko has a spine condition. The one that lives with another owner. If he has any issues, I will pay for that entirely, and that'll be the same with the next litter. So a good breeder will back you. And the good breeders I've met are wonderful, and you can make some really nice friends in this community. It's a horrible community if you meet the wrong people, but there are some really good people out there, especially the Finns. They care a lot about these breeds. The Finnish people are lovely, and there's slowly getting better people worldwide. So highly recommend, as Berry has done, following a load of them on Instagram because you get to see lots of cool dogs and see their progress. So. But I will stop rambling now because it's 2 minutes until the next panel. But as you can imagine, I can talk about these dogs all day, every day. So please feel free to message me if you want to ask anything else. I can't find how to stop sharing. There we go.